Good afternoon to all in Europe and good morning in Latin America. Welcome to the last activity before the closing session in the 8th edition of Team Conference. This session will be chaired by Gustavo Alves, Arcelina Marquez, y Maria Viegas. Thank you very much and enjoy the session.
So thank you very much, Alicia. First of all, I would like to thank the organization team for having us here. And this has been a marvelous conference. For what I have seen, it has been great. So thank you very much for inviting us to develop this track. I will share my screen now. So, sorry. So, first of all, we have here in track 2 the team engineering education and professional demands. We decided to do a cloud roundtable. Our track is composed by Gustavo Alves, Arcelina Marques, and myself, Clara Viegas. We all are from Polytechnic of Porto, School of Engineering. So, the topic of discussion will be this one. How are we sending our students to the labor work? So, the universities are launching young engineers to the labor market, and we will try to understand a little bit better what we can do to improve this situation. It's obvious that we always will have a gap between the competences that they develop during their academic years and the competence that the labor market needs. But the topic here today is to minor this gap and probably have some clear ideas about this discussion. So we will do a brainstorm about the competences young engineers should present in order to succeed more easily when arriving the labor work. The participants will be invited to do their intervention, first by answering a Google form. The link should appear now on the chat, so please answer these quick questions about the 5 most important competencies you think a young engineer should have. And then through the debate, the participants will be invited to ask questions, to add topics for the discussion, to add comments or share their experience. So the roundtable will be composed by 5 major parts. The students, young engineers, students that were graduated and immersed the labor market recently, employers and academic coordinators. And then we'll have also teachers that will be composed by our authors in this track, and also the participants that will always be able to add some topics to these discussions. So we invited different representatives of these equations in order to compare perspectives and possibly identify where they converge or diverge. Are students' expectations in line with what the labor market needs? What do employers value most? Are new engineers corresponding to those expectations? Teacher and academic coordinators have been doing efforts in order to better prepare students for this outcome. What can we do more or better? Which advices would engineers give to their young colleagues? So these are some questions that probably we all have. So now we will, sorry. Oops.
Back.
Back. I'm sorry. I forgot that Ursulina is now introducing each one of our panel guests. So.
Okay, thank you, Clara. Good afternoon to everyone. And like Clara said, I'll start introducing our panelists, our invitees. And although there's one still missing, but maybe she will come later, I'll start with her. Her name is Ana Fernandes. She's a representative of the students group, and she graduated in mechanical engineering, starting her career working with the AVAC field at EcoWord. She's at the moment working, and she's in parallel studying in her master classes in industrial management at Polytechnical Institute of Porto. She's also a chair of the Women's in Engineering at the IEEE at the university. Well, let's hope Anna will get to us in time. Then we have got another student representative of young engineers. Her name is Jessica Chaves. Unfortunately, Jessica had an urgent meeting, so she can't be with us at the moment. But she left her testimony about her experience, which will be read later in this session. Then we have José Maria Santiago. He's an employer, and he graduated in economics from the Faculty of Economics of University of Porto, and he had a post-graduation in banking management at the Instituto Superior de Gestão Bancária, and he followed a 23-year career in banking where he reached the position of director. He also has a significant sporting career as a tennis professional, achieving international status in this sport. In 2018, we entered the recruitment area of the Armis Group.
That is not important.
Where we welcomed and followed a large number of professionals. Most of them are still part of the company's staff in its most diverse technological areas. Okay, so another of our invitees is Cristina Ribeiro. She is a degree coordinator. She graduated and had a PhD in metallurgical and materials engineering by Faculty of Engineering at University of Porto. And currently she is a joint professor at the Polytechnical Institute of Porto School of Engineering. She is a researcher on biomaterials, particularly injectable and delivery systems for bone regeneration since 1989, being presently a member of the Microenvironment for New Therapies group at the Institute for Research and Innovation in Health, IEEE. And she's also the president of the board of directors of Instituto Nacional de Engenharia Biomédica since 2020, this year. She's been the director of degrees related to biomedical and medical instrumentation for 13 years now. And she has, of course, a great deal of experience on helping students pursue their own academic path towards the labor market. So these are our invitees as panelists. I'll start presenting also our participants as teachers. They will give their testimony as teachers. We have Pedro Mauricio Acosta Castellanos. He is a teacher in civil and environmental engineering since 2011. A research in areas of environmental sustainability, currently is a dean of the Faculty of Environmental Engineering at the Universidad Santo Tomás in Colombia. Is a PhD student at Salamanca University. Then we have Selena Liang. Selena is an assistant professor at the Production and Systems Department of School of Engineering, Universidad do Minho, where she started as a monitor in 1989. She has a PhD in engineering science from University of Porto, and she develops research work in the research center algorithmy in modeling and the simulation of process statistical techniques in engineering and in the application of new methodologies in the learning process of numerical methods and statistics in engineering. Currently, she's a tutor of group of first-year students in industrial engineering and management integrated master degree. And she supervises also master's and PhD projects in these areas. Finally, we have Bertil Marques. She has a PhD in computer science by Faculty of Engineering. She's a teacher in the computer engineering department at the Polytechnical of Porto, School of Engineering. Her research interests includes e-learning principles, MOOCs, distance learning, web tools to support online learning, collaborative learning, and learning analytics. As a hobby, she also does some event organization, preferably using digital tools in the scope. And in this scope, she was involved in the organization of Eurovision Song Contest 2018, which was held in Lisbon. And that's it. We've presented all our participants in this track. So now it's time to you.
So previously to this debate, we have asked the guests, our panel guests, to answer their top 5 engineering competencies that they thought engineering should have when entering the labor market, the most important. So we also made literature review, and then we tried to analyze what our panel guests have said and try to incorporate those identifications in these categories. These categories were based on the literature review by Passo and Passo that studied over 50 that was done with 50 studies between quantitative and qualitative works. It was a systematic review, and they managed to systematize in 4 major categories. So in these categories, we have apply technical foundations, interpret data, apply knowledge, apply skills, measure accurately. Then another is collaborative with co-workers, clients, suppliers, and other stakeholders. And this implies communicate effectively, coordinate efforts. The third is engineering with constraints, and incorporates take initiatives, gather information, define constraints, think creatively, solve problems, design solutions, and make decisions. And finally, manage your own performance. That is, devise process, take responsibility, and expand skills. So, merging the panel guests identifications and these categories, we reach the major things that they identified. And that is devise process, coordinate efforts, communicate effectively, apply skills, take responsibility. I think these were the 5 major competencies that were identified by our panel guests. And these are the results that we also got from the students. We managed to make a survey on students from ISEP from several years, from several degree years. We managed a sample of 182 students, and these were what they thought from these competencies that were delivered to them. They were asked to make their top 5, and these are our results. So our major identification here is solve problems, then interpret data, expand skills, communicate effectively, and then apply knowledge and think creatively. So there is some mismatch, I think, from these 2 identifications. Of course, they were not done by the same basis, but I think that is interesting that students identify, seem more concerned with the aspects related to the uncertainty of their profession, that is, solve problems and apply knowledge and think creatively. And these were not major concerns of our panel guests. Okay, so we would like to know if you what you think about this, if you think that these were the results that you were expecting. Of course, an engineer must have some of each one of these competencies. What we are discussing here is what is the most important, what should a student pay more attention in while in the academic world, in order for them to be more prepared for these times that are very challenging. Okay, so I will stop sharing now. And Ursulina will probably be able to share our participants' results now.
Yes, I'm ready in just a second.
She needs more second. Okay.
No, I'll be sharing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'll be sharing my screen. And these are the participants. Results.
Okay. So we have solve problems again. Okay. So there is a matching more clear with the students' results here. And then second one is think creatively. Okay, that was also an identification made by the students. That is interesting. And then communicate. Okay, communicate is the common base. Communicate effectively is identified by everyone, by every part. Our panel guests, our students, and our participants. So, thank you. I would like now to address our panel guests. I will give Gustavo now the lead in order for him to continue. Roslina, I think you can stop your sharing.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Clara. I don't want to set the pain for the discussion, but just a quick overview of the two charts you have shown to us, Clara. There is clearly a tendency to go to what do you say, an ad hoc solution in comparison with a structured approach. If you look into this last chart, devise plan, which is think ahead, it's a structured approach, it got 0%. Okay, so it seems like
from the participants, right?
Sorry?
From the participants.
From the participants. And this is clearly, I don't know, I'm going to be provocative. This is like being more Latin, it's more a Latin approach to solve the problem instead of foreseeing the problem and planning ahead, making a structured approach and try to avoid the problem for coming up. But I'm being provocative. I'm just launching the discussion into the panel. Okay?
Because that's not Latin, because we have here in our panel guests Latin persons, and they identified device process and take responsibility. So
we'll see. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know who should start first. If I look into the screen that I have in front of me, Maria Ribeiro, she's the first one to appear. So Cristina, can you comment, or would you like to comment first? And then Celina, Bertil, José Santiago, Pedro, Ana, and Samuel. I'm just going around. So.
Okay. Well, good afternoon to everybody. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me. It's a pleasure to participate in this round table, so thank you very much. As a coordinator of a course degree like biomedical engineering, what we try is to have a close contact with and a close relation with employers in order to understand their needs. And one thing that is mentioned by the participants and that I consider that is crucial is communication. I think it's very important that our students and our graduates, they know how to talk to others, to convey the information effectively. This is particularly important also in a course like in an area like biomedical engineering, where we have teams with very different backgrounds, and it's needed that students or the graduates can communicate well with people with different perspectives and being able to convey the information effectively. Also is important the active listening. What I mean is giving full attention to what other people are saying and try to understand the points being made, asking questions as appropriate. All this are skills that are very, very important. Communication, I think, is I also agree that it is very important to be a good communicator and to know how to work in teams that are very with people with different backgrounds. This is also something that is really needed, I think, to know how to work with other people, being open to changes, respect others' opinion and ways of working. And also try to bring others together and trying to reconcile differences, because, well, in all areas there are people with different opinions, with different perspectives, and it's very important that everybody knows how to deal with that difference. And that's something that we emphasize in our curricula, is the teamwork and try to give skills to students in order to be able to deal with different opinions, with different perspectives, and so on. So these two aspects, communication, teamwork, I think are very, very important. Not only, of course, but also one thing that I think is crucial is active learning. Well, being humble in order to understand that nobody knows everything, and we should keep on learning. And active learning is also very important. It's very important that to understand the implications of new information for current and future problems, to solve contribute to decision making. So it's important that we keep on learning strategies and selecting and know how to use training, instructional methods and procedures that are the most appropriated for the different situations that they will lead in the market when they are already working in their activities. So,
Cristina, may I interrupt just for a second? I think that is expanding skills, right?
Yes.
Yes. Curiously, students have identified that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is very important, that they know that that is important.
Right? Yes. And as far as I saw, solve problems is the one they consider more important. Yes. Yes, it's important that to solve them, but also to identify the complex problems, and that's sometimes a problem. What I mean is they're being able to identify the complex problems and reviewing related information in order to develop and evaluate the options, and also finally to implement the solutions. So it's also a very important aspect.
Okay, thank you, Cristina.
You're welcome.
Moving on to Selena. Selena, would you like to share your opinion?
Hi, first of all, thank you to you, to Clara and Selena, to invite me to be part of this this roundtable and discuss this topic that is also important. and also to the students. And here it's very important to also listen to their opinion, and not only us this side. Well, when you make me, the question to think about and to give my answer, was interesting because I start to think what I want to students or what I think this young engineering needs. And suddenly I start, oops, but it's also for us. Since we are in this side, you need also to have these skills to help students to develop their skills. So it's like we need to make the balance between these two, what you need, what you think you need, and also for us. For example, the communication. As Maria Ribeiro said before, it's important that the young engineering need to know to communicate not only the top and also bottom level. Okay, so the message could be the same, but the language that you need to use could be the different. So you need to communicate this different level. As the same for us, you need to communicate to students. Okay, some students understand us or not, how to do it. So it's another topic to discuss, but I think this is also important. It was very interesting to observe that it was not one of my top skills that I considered important, that the students try to understand interpretation of data and also apply knowledge. And it was interesting what they think about apply knowledge. So apply knowledge could be the technical skills. I don't know, maybe it could be different terminology for the same thing. And also to solve problem. As Clara said, the expand skills could be a lot of things, to be a lot of skills that could be inside the expand skills. And why not will to learn? Because if I wanted to solve problems, first I need to have a will to learn, to know things, to obtain some knowledge. Or as a new word that we use is resilience today. It's very important how to students or the young students adapt to the situation. Because you know I'm not the correct person to talk about this because I'm from the academic environment, but I think my experience when I supervise the last year the engineering students, I see they have some difficulties to adapt to work. Okay, the new environment. For example, this year, with the beginning of the pandemic situation, our students, he wants to. How can I say, to finish, no, not finish, okay, how you say in English, the word is missing, the word, desistir, give up, okay? Give up because for him was very difficult to adapt the new situation. In the factory environment, he didn't like it at all. But okay, in this side, as supervisors, we try to talk, communicate with students, try to see the situation. And then I think it was last week, we managed that student going to finish the dissertation. So, but he was since April, okay? And only today or last week, we managed to solve the problem. So it's difficult. So the student need to have some experience or know the reality is completely different from the academic view, and then so the new environment that you're going to work. The adaptability, okay, and the commitment. I think is most important here. But myself as a teacher, sometimes I have difficulty how I teach students to have these skills.
You mentioned three things, Selenia. You mentioned resilience, then you mentioned capacity to adapt, and then you mentioned commitment. Are these three things the same? They are different? They are the three needed?
I think it could be the same. I think they are all together. I don't know. You can discuss that. It's my opinion.
If I can say something, I think in the same way. Adaptability and commitment, they are both very important.
Thank you.
Our point of view, my point of view. Okay.
Okay. Selena, are you done?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so. And
Thank you.
okay, since I'm from statistical area, for me, when I see interpretation of data, I was very happy because it's a very long now. We are being the importance of how to read the data, how to interpret the data. Okay. So my colleague from the computer science could help me in this direction.
Okay.
Thank
you,
you.
Selena. Bertil, okay. Eager to hear you.
Okay, so I have some points I have told about skills, because I think our students, we give them tools for the courses with the units prepared, but with the world as is nowadays, they need to expand their skills outside the courses. So they have to add personal skills too. And we have active students and some students not so active on that point. Learning ability on school and after on work, they have to adapt to, because what we teach them 1 + 1 + 1 it's 3. When they go to work, no one will tell them, okay, you will add 1 + 1 + 1. They have to have learning abilities to adapt on the work they will to the employment they will work. There's where communication is important with co-workers, with the shifts, the direction, who is responsible with them, and with the co-workers who they are working too day by day. I think one skill important for our students is leadership. It's I think it's one of the skill important, because one student or one employee who is waiting, you have to do that, you have to do that, you have to do that, and don't have leadership to okay, I'm finished that, okay, now I start that, and okay, he can ask if it's okay, but he have to be proactive. And then one other skill I think important is the quality of action of the persistence for doing when they are working. If something is wrong, or don't let down the task, or no, okay, it's wrong, I'm starting again. Because we have and principally in computer science, we have many students who lose or go out to their jobs because they give up, because they are not persistent, and we have that kind of problem.
Bertil, can I just to clarify, you use the word persistence, but in some sense it is the same as commitment and resilience. Would you agree?
I want to mean don't give up of the task on the first or second
setback.
Yes.
Okay.
And in computer science, we have some students who go down when it happened. I don't know if in the other universe of courses is like that, but I based my answers with my knowledge of my course.
Okay, thank you, Bertil. It may happen that, I mean, in computer science, things are quick. You expect to write code and get some instant feedback. And maybe it can be different in other areas. We don't know. We leave that to the discussion, okay? Thank you, Bertil. Jose, you jumped from your place. I don't know how you did that. So now the next one is Pedro. So Pedro, just to go around, can you speak now, please?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. Good morning here in Colombia. Good afternoon in Europe. I think the skills in engineers must be transcendent to the point to SDGs, to point to sustainable development goals. The engineering must have technical skills. That's good, but this world needs more soft skills like empathy for the environmental, empathy for the other people. In this sense, I think the new engineers must be able to invent and find ways to fight in transcendental things for our survival as a species, you know, as human species. This must fight against poverty, against inequality, and all this in order to obtain this sustainable development. And in this sense, in the chart of the skills, I think in the skills of the design solutions, I think needs or leads towards the interest of achievement to for sustainable development. Also solve problems. In this case, the greatest problem or area is achievement environmental sustainable. The changes is also the change as teachers is focus students to know these environmental problems I think independently of the engineer's career, the competence must be clear to solve the gaps that exist in their science. But a good part of the engineers must be aimed to solve these problems, focus on sustainable. So I think a mechanical engineer should think about specific problems of mechanical engineer, but not every mechanical engineer will be dedicated to solve these problems or their problems. Other mechanical engineers must be a broad vision and think beyond to help and to help, I don't know, a guarantee natural resource or for the next generation, you know, but achievement, the sustainable development.
Thank you, Pedro. So in a broad perspective, you mentioned the sustainability as a background for the kind of skills mechanical engineers should have. Okay, if I got it right.
Yes, every engineer, you know, every engineer, the background in the skills and soft skills maybe is the sustainable development.
Okay, thank you.
Probably to make a link to our identification, probably think creatively is what must be done, right? In order to achieve other solutions than the traditional ones, right? Okay.
Okay, so we now move to Ana Fernandes. Ana, please, can you share your opinion with us?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon for starters, and I'm sorry for the delay. I think I have a really specific idea of what I think the most important skills that young students like me should have, because I'm in a similar situation where I finished my not my master, before that, my degree, I think, and I'm now starting to work as an engineer, so in my area, and I realized that what I learned in college, it's not 100% useful, but it's 50%, because when we combine the soft skills with the hard skills, that it's hard skills, as we all know, it's more tactical and more tech, like modeling or knowing how to do things, instead of soft skills that we developed as a person and in our personality. So when these two are combined, especially in the engineer field, I think we have the greatest outcome ever. For instance, when we are in a very specific profession like engineers, not everyone understands what we study or what we are working with. And for example, I work with AVAC. In Portuguese, it means heating and ventilating and air conditioning. So when I say this to my friends or to anyone, they are like, what does that mean? So I think a very thing that everyone spoke about, it's communication. When you have these complex terms and ideas, that you have to be able to break them down into digestible words for everyone to be able to understand, and to be able to speak to your peers and managers. That's really important for me. But I also think that the second one that I find the most important is critical thinking combined with finding solutions. Because when we are in a state of mind where we, like inside of a box, we are that limits our vision towards finding solutions. So when these two are combined, I think it's also a good skill to develop. Also, a thing that I have been learning through my progress in my company where I'm working at is to active listening. It's where you are listening, but only listening when you are not listening, but already thinking about the answers. You let the other person speak entirely what they have to say, and you do not interrupt, because when you interrupt, even though if it's to add something or just a detail or to complement something, you are breaking down the line of thought of that person, and you will never know what it's going to be not said, or you never know that. So if you let the other person speak everything and you absorb all the details, you get more information for you, and you have more time to think about what you're gonna say, because questions are for free, and the time it's also more or less for free, but not like that. But when you take your time to active listen, and then you stop and think what you're gonna say next, it's also very important in the workplace, and I think in every relationships, honestly. I think the last one that I find I'm gonna say two more, because I think these two are important. It's when when an engineer combines project management. I think nowadays it's very important for an engineer to be a little bit more than an engineer. When you go to a company and they almost assume that you have to have efficiency, you have to be practical, you have to be, how should I put this in other words? I think, for example, the Six Sigma from the Japanese, they have everything organized, and you can be a good engineer in any field, in mechanical, electrical, chemical, but if you are not systematic and organized, and you do things correctly and where everything should be, I think that's also a skill that it's very important to develop, to be efficient, because not everyone likes to work with a person that it's a very good at what he does, but he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know how to do things in an order that makes sense. So this is the not the last, but at least the point. And the last one, I think it's the theoretical knowledge, but the lack of the practical one, and that is the biggest issue, I think, that I identify in my college and with the friends that have been studying with me, that we leave college like not knowing what we are going to do in practical manners. It's like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I studied this, but in real life, what am I gonna do exactly? And this lack of notion when you go to a workplace, it kind of hits you in the face for everything around, because you're not really prepared for what you're gonna do exactly. So I think we should, I don't know, make more workshops or invest in, how do you say, like guided study when you go with your school to visit something to show. When you're studying a subject, you go to a certain place and you visit and you understand visually what is happening because you're studying that. I think in my college, I can speak for example, we don't have that. I didn't have any of that in my course that is mechanical engineer. But with other courses, they do a lot of that. For example, geothermic engineer, and civil, and they did that a lot. But I think that is the last and most concerning thing about going to the workplace without these bases. Thank you so much.
Okay, Anna, thank you. Guided tours, you mean field trips? That's another way to mention that. And just to clarify, when you say efficient, you mean what you do with the resources you have. So you just to distinguish between efficient and effective, okay? Because in order for you to be efficient, you need to understand what resources are you using. That's the idea of efficiency, okay? That's what you wanted to talk about.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much.
Okay, So, Jose, you cannot escape now. It's your turn.
Good afternoon, all. Okay, so from our point of view, we trust the work of our prestigious universities and the skills they pass it to their students. Okay, so we go a little bit further to the hard skills. We look for people, and we look for people with some characteristics as great team spirit, adaptability, sense of responsibility, and commitment as well. Okay, so people who are creative and disruptive. We try every time to develop also this characteristic during the time each young talent is with us. Okay, so in short, we know that it's like with the marathon runners, the soft skills are something you will have to practice and exercise daily to develop as required. Okay, so this is our point of view. We are talking about a sector that nowadays have more jobs or places, like you can say, open than formed engineers. So it's not normal, okay? The IT sector is different. So, but the soft skills we look for, they are the same, okay? So that's my opinion.
Jose, just to make a clarification, when you hire someone to develop code, do you have this same person interacting with the client, or do you get someone in between the client and the code developer?
Well, in the beginning, we have someone between, but you are listening well? Yeah. At the beginning, we have someone between. But when we talk about communicated effectively, that's something we work with the young talents, with young boys, okay? So there are two ways, but we use it normally, someone in the middle to intermediate the communication, okay? So it's one way to develop, okay?
Okay, I just mentioned that, Jose, because Anna, when she was making her, expressing her ideas, she mentioned making the complex simple. So how to express something that is complex in a simple way. And if you put someone in the middle, then this person has to understand the two sides, the one that has to need to develop something complex and the other one that is looking for something simpler. And sometimes you put someone in the process because either the person that is hiring the company doesn't know exactly the technical jargon that he needs to put, or sometimes the person that is developing the code, it feels a bit awkward, or it has some difficulties in making simple what he knows as a complex skill.
Okay, at the beginning, we know that are not so simple for them, okay? So we try every time to develop also these characteristics with coaching every day. And, some senior profiles do it easily. And when you stay with us, you ask the young people if they are prepared. At the beginning, they are always, they are fear, so when I can say, my English is not the best to say, but the coaching it's important in the first year, the first year and the second year, the coaching is very important, okay? And we practice this every day in the armies, okay?
Thanks. So that's a new term that we are bringing in, coaching. Okay. Thanks, Jose. So we move on to Samuel. Samuel, are you with us?
No. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the floor is yours, please.
Well, actually, I was just here to coordinate the meeting, but I find it really interesting what you're talking about. So I'm happy to be able to contribute with my point of view, if you are okay with it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So in my experience, I've been working in a technological center for 7 years. And after that, I came back to the university. And I think that a problem that arises is that with students and taking into account what I think Anna said, is that sometimes we as students think that we are not prepared for a particular work because we have not been, let's say, taught the skills that are needed for that work. But I really think that is going to happen every time an engineer leaves the college. I mean, they are supposed to have some skills basis, but not knowing everything. And I think the most important thing is to be prepared to expand yourself, actually, and to be prepared to face challenges and be prepared to solve problems. And in this sense, I think that a lot of people say that, for example, communication skills are important, and I do think so. But I also think that as people get, let's say, specialized, for example, in a particular skill like programming or hardware development or whatever, I think that communication should be also a particular skill. Focus on a particular, let's say, a particular work. What I mean with this is that, for example, if you are working in a team, I think that one person should be specializing in communication. Communication, for example, with a client or with a person who is naive to that particular area of engineering. And that communication skill is not so important for the rest of the team. I mean, it's important to work as a group, as a team, but not every single person of that team should have these communication skills with the final user. And this is a problem that I faced a lot because I work in engineering for health and care. And for example, when you try to explain something to a doctor or to a representative of the health sector, you have to change your mind and your way of thinking, and not every single person is able to do that. So I think that a team, as a group of people developing a certain product, let's say, should have one person who has this particular skill and who focus his career in developing this skill. That's my point of view.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I think I agree with that point in respect with contact with the client. But for example, when you're making a point in your group of co-workers and you're trying to explain why you did it that way, for example, you all are in the same field and working on the same thing, but when it comes to arguing about what's the best way to do this, you have to know how to deconstruct your idea into terms that everyone, that it's not you, are going to understand what you mean by why you're doing like that. I think that's what I meant when communication, it's very important also to your peers to explain better what your process to do something is.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I was talking more like trying to merge your opinion, and I think it was Santiago, sorry for the, yeah, Jose, to merge both opinions. I mean, it's important to be able to communicate with your peer partners, but this particular skill to be able to communicate something complex to the final user, for example, I think it should be just a particular skill to be
it should be
developed
separated.
by one person.
You are someone who programs. It's not their function to explain or something to the final client. You are working for a specific field. You don't have to have that ability. I completely agree.
Yes, I think it's two different things.
Yeah.
In your daily life, you have to communicate and express yourself correctly with your colleagues. But that is very important, that the person that is hardcore is probably not the best person to communicate the results to the public.
And that's something that happens actually in the real world. I mean, for example, CEOs and some chiefs, for example, just leave this communication part to the developer actually, and it's not his main skill, and it's not going to work well actually.
Yes. NASA has a specific team of communication science. Yeah.
Okay. Just one quick thought. You mentioned specialized work. You mean team work? Actually, the size of a team will depend on the size of the company. So if you are talking about small, medium companies, sometimes it's a one-man show job. I mean, that engineering, he has to do everything. On a bigger company, you can, compose a certain team and you bring in some skills from that person and this other person. So this means that there is a big difference between small, medium companies and large size companies?
Not really. For instance, my girlfriend is actually working as this particular person who has this skill, and she she has a master in telecommunication. But after that, after leaving the college, she just took a lot of courses in communication skills, and now she's able to communicate this. For example, when they are trying to sell a product, she's able to communicate it to the final user. But also, she has in mind all the let's say development, but at a higher level point of view. For example, if in case she's asked for a particular application or whatever. So I think this particular job, let's say, should be one of the most important things to have, even in small enterprises, even in small.
I agree, Samuel.
I think it's challenging also for someone with a higher education to be able to come down for a speak and explain to someone who has nothing to do with the subject. I think it's kind of challenging when you put yourself in that position.
Yeah, it is. It is actually. I think you have to expand your point of view, your skills, actually, your communication skills. And it's not easy, because at the end of the day, you're going to where you're comfortable, and it's development, programming skills, and things like that. So,
exactly.
At least in Portugal, there is a master that is specific to that, communicating science. So that is very important.
I think that social perceptiveness is also important. Also, what I mean is being aware of others' reactions and understanding why they react like that, why they react as they do. So social perceptiveness, I think, is also very important as a skill.
I think I would call that emotional intelligence, is where you exactly do that, what you just said. But yes, somehow in a deeper level, where you try to, when you are capable of controlling your emotions, and at the same time you can understand others' emotions and manage your own with empathy towards others. That's also very, very important.
Yes,
as we see in politics, that's not what happens there. They all leave themselves to leave their emotions on the back of their brains. I don't understand.
Yes, and also learning coordination. What I mean is adjusting the actions in relation to others' actions. Know how to deal with that. I think is also important, that we are so flexible enough to adjust to the different behaviors of different persons in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Portuguese, we say that is waist flexibility.
Yeah.
Being flexible with your waist, dancing with the flow. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's now time to pass Jessica's testimony. What do you think, Clara?
Yes,
I
I
just
think.
don't know if I can say something more.
Yeah.
It's just a small thing. I think first, in our reality here in IT sector, we first understand if they really need to know what they do well, to don't have fear to fail. If you have no fear, you can communicate well. At the beginning, in the first year of the employment, we understand they don't they have fear to communicate well. So we develop this in the work career. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jose. Jose, one quick
Can
doubt.
I?
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Selena. Sorry, don't forget what you are going to say. As Anna said, I don't want to break your thinking. Okay?
No.
Okay, you got it there. Hold it there. Jose.
Yeah.
You are responsible for admitting people to your company. Okay.
Not responsible. I help the company. Okay. I don't decide alone. Okay.
Okay. Are you the person in charge of the coaching, or is someone more connected to the technical field who does the coaching?
No, is the someone, not me. There are some leaders in team leaders in the various areas. They give the coaching.
Okay, but do you train those people to be coach, or it's a natural skill?
Yes, we train the people to be coach every day.
Okay.
To improve their soft skills. Yeah.
Thank you. Selena, bring it on.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Gustavo. When I was listening this last to Anna and Jose, something ring my bell in here in my head is that maybe, I don't know if this word in English is correct, is responsibility. I think the student or the young student engineering must become responsible for their action, for their ideas. But the other way around, maybe as afraid to be wrong. I don't know if you need to be, okay, afford to get wrong, to learn, to see, to understand the mistake, and the other not to punish it, okay? I don't know if there here something between afraid, okay, and the other way, responsibility for, or co-responsibility. I don't know if I was able to explain my point of view, because sometimes I have some difficulty to explain my idea, because maybe I am afraid to be punished, or maybe I'm afraid to be wrong, or maybe I'm afraid that the other not going to understand what I'm saying. I don't know if, okay, this could be an issue here. I don't know.
And if they were trained from the beginning of their academic years, if they were trained to do that, to be put in those situations, because I think, Anna, probably you will be the best one to help us here. Do you remember when you made your shift in thinking? when do you realize that it was important to learn and not only to achieve a good grade or to pass? When did you do that? It was early days or?
That's actually a good question, because I think in order to understand where that ends and the other begins, I think you have to go through some not so good times in college to understand that some how do you say, some subjects depends on the other ones. For example, if you have maths 1, and then you have maths 2, and so if you have that kind of subjects that depends on one another, that's the first time you're gonna realize that maybe you should start to yes, you should start to make a good understanding of the course itself, and the I don't know the words, but the time when I entered college, I was actually super excited, and it was my best year. It was the year when I had the best grades. That one and the last one, because in the middle you start to get frustrated because things start to get a little bit more heavy and complicated, and if you don't understand one thing in one subject, it's going to affect the other ones, and if you leave something behind, that's going to mess things a little bit. But when you're coming down to the end of your course, and you stop and think, what is the juice of my knowledge after all these years? And you realize or not, that you have a good knowledge of what you have observed during those years, or you realize that maybe you didn't absorb anything because you were just trying to pass subjects. And it's very different to pass and to actually learn. I have a lot of subjects that I passed with 10, but I actually understand but I have another that I passed with 16, 17, but I don't understand what I did. It was just easy for me to write down and memorize, and maybe now I don't even know how to do that. But definitely going to, before I finished my degree, I went to work I went to do, how you say, estágio?
Internship.
Exactly. I went to do an internship on a company in part-time, and that was my first contact with the engineer world, and I was studying at the same time. And for me, it was very, very exciting because I was seeing things in practical matters, and I was studying at the same time things that I was, okay, so this makes sense. I need to understand this in class so I can apply this in my workplace. And that's when I realized that my last semester was also the best semester in my course, because I was excited for applying knowledge into workplace. And yes, I think that's when I realized it was very important, not to pass, but also to understand.
Yeah, that was your click, seeing learning in context.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. When you have that opportunity, it really opens your eyes in many ways that you wish you should do that earlier.
Yeah, you wish you were on the first year to do that again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why our role is to here in company. It's in the beginning. It's to demand conduct and motivate this exercise to apply the knowledge. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's very important. Yeah. Arcelina, you may show
Okay, so
testimony. So
yeah, I'll share my screen again. And here's Jessica's testimony as a young professional. And she says, after finishing the course, I began searching for a job. It was exhausting and frustrating. I started selling electricity contracts, being commercial. At first, I was very upset that I wasn't in the study area, though that it would be a good job to pay my expenses, but it ended up being my dream job. I acquired a lot of soft skills, such as communication, management, resilience, and entrepreneurship. I decided to graduate from the Masters in Electrical Engineering, Energy Systems, again at ISEP, where I had the opportunity to do an internship at the company Energia Simples, allowing me to expand my knowledge in the engineering area. Today, considering my hard and soft knowledge, I am responsible for the portfolio of producing customers in Energia Simples. In summary, I just want to say never give up, because you will be rewarded and recognized for your hard work. So this is a quite interesting testimony, which is also in accordance of what we've been discussing here. And overall, the most important message is don't give up. So resilience is also a word that comes out of this testimony. Clara?
Yeah. Yes, I think that is very important. I think that's very important for the students to understand that they need to learn, not only pass. And the way they will do this more easily is if the teachers have this concern of teaching in context and always explaining why they are developing that subject, making the link from the subject that they already know for the subject that they need to know in order to solve a much harder problem. So I think that if students make this shift of thinking in the early years of their degree, I think the results will be fantastic. Okay, so I think that's I managed to write down 3 times here fear. I think we all have fear if you don't know what is ahead. We all have. And the academic world should prepare students in order to they understand a little bit what they are expecting. But it will always be a little bit, because every area is different, and the challenges that the students or the graduate students will have to overcome is always different. So if you are prepared to solve problems, if you are prepared to and don't fear to learn more things, to ask questions when you don't know, this year in coaching is fantastic if every company has one, because it is the time to learn in practice and more concern about your specific things. And then again, I would like to address also the concerns of Pedro about the sustainability issues, because we are in a changing world, and of course we have to change the way we do things and we think about things, and we have solutions that are not quite adding to the issue here. So that's new. Today, in engineering, I think it's a world more challenging than ever, because we have to be aware of immense amount of different thematics and think about solutions that comes out of the box. We have to think outside the box nowadays. I think always, but today is very, very important.
Clara,
Yeah.
can I just pick up, or Anna first? I don't know, or Selena?
No, let me just say one thing. Maybe I can share again, just to enforce what Clara just said. And it's curious because it's happening at the same time, and we have more answers from our participants. And maybe I'm going to share the new results, and you can see that one of the competence she just said has gained some force in meanwhile. So I'll be sharing that. So, yeah, I'm not sharing now at the moment. These are the results we start by sharing in the beginning from our participants, and these results, like was stated, are similar to the ones we obtain from the students' perspective, being the first one solving problems, and the second one thinking creatively and communicate effectively. Then we got intermediate result, again with the same trend, but at the moment, and notice that we have an educator, a degree director, and an educational developer answering our questionnaire. And then we've got pair-to-pair thinking creatively and solving problems. And also the third one is tied up with communicate effectively and design solutions. So these are the competences we've been here discussing, the ones that most of us addressed as more important, and the participants agree with us. That's a good thing. So sorry, that's one curious thing I wish to share with you. So now Gustav can continue.
Anna, I hope you didn't forget what you were going to say.
No, I was trying very hard because I'm very bad with not forgetting, but I managed to remember. And it is just a small little thing that during my degree, everyone who was studying with me always said, what am I gonna need this subject for? Why do I need to learn this? And this was not only during college, it was also during secondary, high school, and always everyone was like, why do I need this? I don't see the purpose of this subject. And when Maria was talking, I think I agreed completely. And I think it's so important to give a bigger panel of what this specific subject is for, and what are giving, for me, it's giving comparison and making analogies with real life things works a lot for us to understand why this is important when we are explaining this subject. So do we have this subject? Okay, so why do we need this subject? We need this because it's gonna be applied here, 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 and give a bigger picture of it. So we are more interested when we know what we are going to use that with. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Anna. Clara, do you want to add something?
No, I completely agree with what Anna was saying. Yes, I think we have to reach students right from the beginning. I think that is our major concern as teachers, but we always need to know your feedback, and not always students share that with us. So I think these moments are very important for us to reflect, to pause a little, having a little moment to, okay, let's see if I am doing things right. What can I do to improve? What can I do to add more students? So I probably would ask you another question. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing you, but you are our students. So As a graduating student, what were your major concerns regarding your employability?
For being honest, I was not very worried because I know I have been studying when I entered college in mechanical engineering. I've been doing my research about how many jobs offers do I have in my field, and I have been looking for during my degree that there were many options. There were not so many as I was expected, and the ones that were offering were a little bit limited in terms of creativity. And when you go to work, you want to be stimulated, and you want to do something that it's not boring. It's not the same thing every day. As an engineer, as an engineer, I see that I don't want that for my future. I want to be stimulated, and I want to create and innovate and find solutions. And I see that jobs here in Portugal, that's where I searched at the time, they were a little bit like, it's this and it's this. You are going to do budgets, and you're going to control, how do you say, uma obra, como é que se diz uma obra? Alguém me ajuda? Uma obra.
Yeah, a job or something, I don't know, enterprise.
Oh, a big construction that is happening.
Construction. Yep.
So when you run or you manage a big construction that is happening, that's basically it. When you graduate as a mechanical engineer, I see only offers at doing budget or doing to public concours to conquer to public construction things. I don't know the name in English. So it's very limited, but there were a lot of options, and I wasn't scared. Because I had the opportunity to work while I was studying, not in my field, and it was very, very scary not working in a specific field like engineering. It was sad to see that so many people work in that conditions where they receive the minimal budget and they work hours and hours, the same thing every day. And I had to go through that. I work in a hair salon, I work in marketing, in telecommunications. And finally, when I reached the situation where I'm at, is working as an engineer, I see a big difference and a big accommodation. It's comfortable. It's comfortable to work as something that it's not as general as being, I don't know, other jobs that is not so specific. I felt that a lot.
Okay.
Christina, can you add something, because you have a lot of experience with young students that go in internships. So they share with you their feelings. Do you have?
Yes, they share. In the beginning, they are, well, a bit afraid because they have that feeling that they do not know how to do anything. So they are a bit afraid. But this will only lasts 1 week or something, and then they begin doing things and become quite confident. At the end of the internship, the opinion of the employers is that they are very well prepared, and they have a very good practical experience. So the information I get from the companies is quite positive. So but that feeling of not knowing or thinking that they do not have the enough skills to perform what is proposed is a feeling that is common in the first years of the internship. But at the end, they become quite confident, and the experience is very, very good. So I think that it's very important to have internships in the courses, and it's very important that students have that opportunity, because it makes the difference. 3 months of that kind of experience changes completely the way and the attitude of the students. So it's a very interesting experience.
You see that?
And I think that also what Pedro said concerning the social and environmental problems, and our job in sensitizing students for that questions, I think is very, very important also. And I think that nowadays we fortunately value aspects in an engineer curriculum that were not considered a few years ago. And that could make the difference, because engineer curricula sometimes are very, how can I say, well, gray in what concerns those social and environmental problems. So it's very important that we also contribute and invest in the formation of the students as human beings that are concerned with ethical aspects, social aspects, and because this will make the difference in the new world that we are dealing with. So it's very important that these kind of things are clearly treated in the curricula of engineering courses. That's my opinion.
Okay. So we would like also to have the participants' opinion and comments, or share experience with us. So if anyone can write something in the chat, we will be happy to oblige here with our panel guests, okay?
And there are no questions.
I know.
Celina, yeah, we can ask Teresa Sena Esteves, Isa Carvalho, Arukia from Rio de Janeiro. Arukia, compliment to you. So please, if you have the time, and if you have been following us in this discussion, we will be very happy if you could place your questions or your comments on the YouTube window. I know there is a time gap of 15 to 20 seconds. So when I say this, only 20 seconds after I actually say it, you will hear it on YouTube. So we need to accommodate this delay so to have people responding. So if you are listening to us and following us in YouTube, we will be very happy for you to comment and give your opinion.
Thank you. Jose, may I ask you a question? What competencies differentiate between outstanding and ordinary engineering? We are not hearing. We're muted.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the question, please?
Yes, of course. What competencies differentiate and ordinary engineers?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think makes the difference between them? It's a difficult question, I know.
Yes, it's a difficult question. I don't know. I really don't know. I think we have with us some guests with more experience. So I'm not from the area, you know. I don't have idea about this difference you said. If you can help me.
I can rephrase. What makes you hire someone and not another person. What comes up, that it's really, really important.
Well, we look for people with some characteristics as a great team spirit, some sense of responsibility, people who are creative and disruptive. You know, we try to develop also these characteristics, and that's what we're looking for. What we're looking for.
Okay.
Not some particular skills, you
know. Okay.
Thank you, Jose. So we got one question.
Oh,
I think from Teresa Sena Esteves. She said, I think people in the panel are pointing out very important skills, and I congratulate people for such an interesting debate. And then she places a question. However, the initial provocative question from Gustavo, think, plan ahead, is still without answer. And I would like to know, how could we teachers prepare students for that challenge? Okay, who can answer this? So, because this is, the way Teresa puts it is, we teachers, okay, can prepare the students. I don't have an answer, but there are more teachers here. And we can, for instance, Selena, you can give...
yes, I don't know, but from my point of view and my experience, maybe it's by simulation. Prepare a problem and ask students to get solution, but try to make the point that no solution exists. Exist a lot of different solutions. So students need to choose one solution and explain why he followed that direction. And all the solutions are correct, or the other way, no solution are wrong. I think the most important here, in my point of view, is because the right and wrong, because we learn with our mistakes. Yeah. Okay, so if you learn by our mistakes, you need to be able to get things wrong. If not, we don't understand it like a mistake. So sometimes I think, and the students must learn to do that, not be afraid, like Clara mentioned before, not be afraid to explain their point of view. And so teacher, I think, must allow students to make that. So make problems, identify problems, and ask students to give the solutions. And independent of what type of solution, listen, like Anna Fernandez mentioned, listen. I think the teacher must learn how to listen to students, allow to students, communicate with them. So you need to make question, allowing to receive the answer. It's an idea.
Selena, thanks. Can I pick up on this answer from Selena and go to Cristina Ribeiro? Cristina, you are the head of the degree. And clearly what Selena said is a skill that teachers should have, or a skill or a technique they should know how to apply. When you have these meetings with the teachers that are in your degree, do you go for this kind of solution? Do you ask the teachers that are involved in the different courses of your degree, if they do this, how do we engage, etc.?
Yes, and I think it's very important that all the teachers work together, coming from different departments and having different backgrounds. Because if the teachers are not engaged in the course degree, the results won't be the ones that we would like to have. So it's very important that well, in engineering is common that we have teachers from one department, other teachers from other department, and if they don't work as a team in that specific course, I think that's well, not the right way to work and to have good results. So it's very important that teachers are all engaged in the same course in order to contribute and to get benefit of different formations to the particular area of the course. So it's very important that. And concerning the question of Teresa, I think that critical, we should train students to have critical thinking. What I mean is using logic and reasoning to identify the strengths and the weaknesses of the different alternative solutions, and get a conclusion or approaching the problems. And it's very important, the judgment and decision making also. It's important that the students can have the skills to consider the relative costs and benefits of the potential actions to choose the most appropriate one. So like this, they can think critically and then plan ahead in order to get to the better solution. So it's important that we train them with real problems and stimulate them to solve different problems in the area of the course during their formation in order to stimulate the critical thinking. I think it's very important for an engineer, and sometimes that is missing, the critical thinking.
Yes. I would only add that it is very important to work with open problems and not only exercises.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, and the collaborative work between them, it's very, very important. Mm-hmm. Because students can be our little helpers, okay? While explaining things to the colleagues, they are explaining things that they overpass in a short period. So they are more able to explain some things than we teachers. So it is very important that we use that. We use other students, other colleagues to add one another, okay? And that will also add the teamwork spirit. And when they arrive in their professional world, they will always be more prepared to work with others because no one works alone. So I think if this is implemented from the beginning and not only the individual work, I think it's we can get better results. Mm-hmm. Gustavo? No.
This is an essential skill nowadays. Yeah. Learn how to unmute the microphone. Okay. Okay. I think we had many different opinions, and there are many interesting points that we have seen in this discussion. There are more common terms like communication skills, adaptability, resilience, and some other terms that are not so much referred in these discussions, like the Sustainable Development Goals, etc. But it's like a word cloud where you get some words, it's more positions, and it's more important, or people talk more about them, and some others seems to be on a second plan. Still, they are there, okay? And And I think that we had a good assortment of different perspectives: students, course directors or degree directors, teachers, employers, and engineers, as many of us are engineers. So we had this very interesting. We also had data, okay? And as Selena would say, we need to interpret data. And these are the two charts that Selena showed to us. And the whole idea about this is skills. Skills from the moment that you jump from the university or from higher education into a job position. I think that slide that you have put, Clara, is very, very good. When you see the baby being thrown up to the other side. And I think sometimes it's just like that. We don't know if they are prepared, but it's a jump. You have to do that jump. I don't know if you want to conclude in another way, Clara and Selena. I would like to take this opportunity from my side to say thank you very much to Maria Ribeiro, Selena, Ana, José Santiago, Bertil, Pedro, and Samuel. And I will leave the final words to you, Clara and Selena.
So thank you. I think you said it all. We would like to thank our panel guests, Cristina, Selena, Ana, José, Bertil, Pedro, and Samuel. That was our new guest. And thank all the participants and thank the organization again. We are ending our time because we have to go to the ending ceremony. So, Selena.
Thank you, Clara. I'm not repeating the thanks again, but I would like to reinforce in general the thanks to everyone, including the participants, which allows us to have some interesting data also. And to end, just sharing a last slide, which is this one. Just a second, not this one, because this one was just shared. And thank you for participating. That's all what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So Samuel.
Samuel,
everything